Ladies and gentlemen, in all of my years that I've done this thing that we call interviewing, podcasting, whatever you want to call it, there are a few interviews in between that I hang my hat on. And I am very fortunate enough to create a sequel with a guy who I have a lot of respect for, who I have a great rapport with, that I met through this wonderful thing called hip hop. Not, you know what I'm saying? It is battle rap, but it's definitely under the hip hop umbrella. And I have a lot of respect for him. And I'm so glad I get a chance to sit down and talk with him and talk about the inspirations that we get from this hip hop culture and other things. But ladies and gentlemen, the founder, the owner, whatever you want to call him, the leader of the rare breed entertainment movement, ARP, is in the building, man. Thank you for your time, bro.
My man, Big Flight, man, I appreciate you having me back once again. You mentioned a previous interview that we did. I think I enjoyed that interview more than you did. You know what I'm saying? Like
That says a lot.
Yeah, I took you on the spot as a natural. You know, the way that we were gliding through those questions, it felt organic. It felt like there didn't have to be a camera there.
Mm-hmm. Facts, absolutely.
That's why I've always appreciated you and respected you. And you know, as soon as you DM'd me, I was like, nah, we gotta figure out this time ASAP for the homie Flight, man. Anytime you need me, anytime you want to rock out, man. You know what I'm saying? Just contact. As a matter of fact, you don't gotta DM me anymore. You got my number. Just text me. I'm gonna text away.
Thank you so much, ARP, man. You're and I'm really great. Like I said earlier before we started recording, I'm glad you're in this setting because what sparked the interest for this type of interview, you know what I'm saying, was when you do your blogs and when you do content that's non-battle rap related, where it's just you just talking to the people, you have a setting that's behind you that is full of inspirations. Okay. I'm talking movies, I'm talking albums, I'm talking, you may show off, like, you know what I'm saying, pieces of artwork, something. And I've always been intrigued as to how, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, maybe this inspiration is for maybe how you come up with cards, or how you do the marketing for your events. You know what I'm saying? I've always wanted to understand where ARP kind of draws his, you know what I'm saying, draws his inspiration from, being the you know.
I'd say some of it is along the years of just trying out new stuff. Mm-hmm. I've kind of had, if you go way back 5, 6, 7 years almost, I kind of, for a majority of my blogging, had one of the typical setups, which is the 2 monitors behind me, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That was always inspired by promotion or subliminal messages, or driving home some type of point that I was making, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. One of those 3 things. So like, I think mm-hmm. a lot of people remember a lot of blogs like that, where I just had monitor 1, monitor 2, and I'm sitting in the middle, boom. I think over like the last 2 years though, maybe 2, 3 years, you know, you've seen, I have one spot that I liked a lot with the scene from Heat behind me. Mm-hmm. You know, the shootout, the bank robbery scene. That one's got like some of my CD collection in it. And I pick spots like that because when you speak on hip hop, one thing about our hip hop culture is we like authenticity. Mm-hmm. Yes, right? We do. Think about how we look at our rappers. It's like the more gangster your street credibility you really have, and the more, you know, gangster shit you come from, the more credible you are as an mm-hmm. artist, right? That's how mm-hmm. we are in the hip hop culture. And like even that CD rack and some of those collectibles, and me pulling out mixtapes at times and albums, it's me showing the fans of how deep I run with this shit, going all the way back to as an 80s baby. Like when we talk this hip hop shit, like we really, really live it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I had multiple spots. I was on my Charlie Clip shit for a second where I was like, guess which room I'm in? You know what I'm saying? I did that in fun on the battle rap side, but more recently, the podcast Sorry It's True that I kicked off, that was specific because I feel like even though I'm new to podcasting, mm-hmm. I've been blogging since about, it feels like 2010. Of course, you know, the podcasting world picked up so heavily. It's all about content creators these days, and I feel like your surroundings, your backdrop loans to the visual, because, you know, we come from an era, well, at least I do. You look like you're probably like 10 years younger than me. But
yeah.
Dang, you didn't have to say it like that.
No, I mean, listen, I'm 25. I'm 25, but I'm also been told I have an old soul, so it kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
That's with you, but I come from an era where, you know, the radio was priority, you know, tape decks and FM and AM radio. You know what I'm saying? And the world and the industry and entertainment has continued to evolve into content that needs to be visual.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that old school type of, you know, content has been replaced. And the video podcasting and the video streaming has become like the dominant factor in this space. So, you know, that makes me, and I think a lot of people, whether you're blogging or podcasting or anything like that, creating content, pay attention to not just, you know, your technical setup and your cameras or your angles or your production, but your background.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So all of that comes together to try to produce a good piece of content for the fans.
And listen, you got some classic movies behind you. You have the Dark Knight. You have Juice. You have Bloodsport. You know what I'm saying? I believe that's The Irishman, and I believe that's Scarface. I think that's the row back there.
You got Scarface. After Scarface, you got New Jack City. This whole room is all classic movies. I got Shawshank, I got Goodfellas, I got Matrix, I got Tombstone, I got Paid in Full, I got Infinity Wars, I got Hateful Eight, I got Training Day, I got Dead Presidents, I got Goonies, I got Harlem Nights.
Classics, man.
Yeah, I got Harlem Nights. I got one anime movie, which is Ninja Scroll, my favorite anime movie.
Okay.
I got the best piece of television ever, The Wire. I got 300. I got Lord of the Rings, which is my favorite movie trilogy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are so visually stunning to me. I think my trilogies, and they screwed it up by dropping part 4 of The Matrix, but you know, it used to be The Matrix, but now they went to 4. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, those are some of my favorite trilogies of all movies.
Okay.
Movies, and I'm so like well versed across multiple genres.
Right.
You know, I don't do horror as much as I used to, but I enjoy every lane. Like I'll do comedy, I'll do action, I'll do drama, I'll do suspense, I'll do everything. You know what I'm saying? So when people hear that, yeah, I got a couple animes under my belt, or even like a sci-fi or fantasy type of movie based like Lord of the Rings, people might get shocked. I'm like, no, I watch everything. I fuck with everything. So
any we can go a little bit in depth with that. Any specific directors that you particularly, you know, consider that's your favorite?
Not so much. I've never been a person that followed directors.
Okay.
More so I pick up on good direction or good directing in a movie.
Okay.
I follow actors. I follow plots more than I do, you know, who produced this or who directed this. And don't get it twisted. You can end up, you know, picking out a lot of classics by following certain directors.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Scorsese's and
Tarantino.
The Tarantino, like I mentioned Hateful Eight over here. You know what I'm saying? Like anything that Tarantino puts out, I'm on. You know what I'm saying? So Quentin, he's got like this wild style of movies and his layout and his vision, his angles, everything, you know, even down to his controversial side of things. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, yeah, I feel like he's only missed like once or twice, like his that Hollywood movie or whatever that had
with and Brad Pitt, with DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Okay.
Yeah, it had its moments, but for the type of firepower in that movie, I thought it was a little bit of a letdown. You know, okay, a little bit of a letdown. But all in all, like I watch almost anything he puts out. You know what I'm saying? And he's very, very big on the commentary in the movies or the actual interaction. So you take a movie like I'll keep using Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight, I think, unravels in like 2 places. Right? The whole movie is only in 2 places. It's like in a horse carriage getting to the cabin, and then the rest of it is in the cabin. And the commentary and the actual script, the talking script of the actors is just so compelling. I could listen to that movie without even watching it. Just listen to it.
That is really interesting. That's really interesting. That's what's
That's
up.
how
I like
good
that.
I think that the actual wordplay and the scripting of movies like that is. And I think that's one thing that Tarantino focuses a lot on. And he tries to get so authentic, and he tries to get so gripping sometimes in that lane, he gets controversial. And that's when people call him out like, man, are you racist? You know what I'm saying? Like
Django is the first thing that comes to mind, because I remember, Jamie Foxx was talking about how, he was, when Jamie Foxx they were shooting the movie, and Tarantino kept calling cut. And he pulled him in a room. He's like, yo, like, what's the problem? And he's like, you're supposed to be a slave. And it's like, that sounds super controversial, but when you're making a movie about slaves, he has to have I guess, to get his point across, he has to be that aggressive with his, with his talent and with his, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, like, when I guess it's weird, because you think of Tarantino as, you may think Tarantino's a racist. You may think, not necessarily the same things about a Jordan Peele, but you would think sometimes about these certain directors. But it's just like, it's all about the story. It all comes back to the plot. It all comes back to.
I think with Tarantino, because his movies turn out so good, and because he's willing to go there, that's one thing that makes him compelling regardless. I think his wife is Black. Now, it doesn't mean that just because you have a Black wife, that gives you a pass.
That's a fact.
But if he's married to an authentic Black woman who respects her own culture, I would assume that he respects her. He married her. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of gives you a little bit of a like, let's keep this more so entertainment. I'm not sure
100%.
It's a, you know what I'm saying? So that helps him a little bit.
Right, right. That he's
then some of the actors that he constantly works with, like Samuel L., for example. Samuel L. is very respected, and we've seen him step up to the bat and defend Black culture and Black situations historically over time as well. He's not like let's say I hate to throw my man under the bus, but like a Michael Jordan, who has felt like a little bit more quiet on social events and a Black man's strife in America. We've seen Samuel L. on the front lines of that type of stuff.
Yes.
Yet he has an extremely close working relationship with Quentin Tarantino. So you see the people around him that we give a lot of respect to. You see his family, the fact that he's going for, driving down these points the right way or in a strong fashion. And it's like, I don't want to be in that boat. I'd rather just say he's very willing to be controversial.
Okay, yeah, we can say that.
As racist, yeah.
He, as you mentioned, Samuel Jackson, one of my favorite Tarantino movie, which is Pulp Fiction. Set the apartment scene when John Travolta and Samuel Jackson go to Brad's apartment is one of my favorite scenes of all time. Like Samuel Jackson's entire run throughout that entire scene is so entertaining. Like from start to finish, it blows my mind every single time.
And that's what I mean about the script and the talking points and the wordplay and the diction that's used that even matches the era and the times of where the movie is based. Tarantino and those writers are amazing. And I know that he plays a part in it. Of course, you have a lot of hands in the writing, but I know he plays a big part in it. And, that whole speech that Sam gives, it's just that gripping and compelling. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's driving it home with his physical, acting that's coming across on camera. But the words that he's saying, it's gripping. It grabs you. Yes. And there's a lot of movies that I feel like Tarantino focuses on the writing. And that's why I think Hateful Eight does that, because you can really just listen to the dialogue back and forth between a lot of these actors and just be like, yo, this is amazing. When you really, really just listen to the pure dialogue of it, it's just through the roof to me. So I'm a movie head, man.
I respect that. And you just named some, you said talked about Hateful Eight, the some of the you said the little Lord of the Rings. You a Marvel or are you a DC guy?
I'm both.
Okay.
I ain't no gangbanger. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no gangbanger. Like, you don't gotta worry about me picking sides or nothing like that. You put out good entertainment, you put out a good product, or you put out something that's of interest to me, I'm there. I think DC has had some great hits. I like when they get into the kind of a more newer space. I feel like over like the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 years of like, I think this dark, gritty type of presentation is working for us.
Yep.
I love DC there, but Marvel is just Marvel. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen.
Marvel is Marvel. Their catalog is what it is for a reason. It's like Marvel just has like some crazy ass shit under their belt. Like the Avengers series is so classic to me. And then it got a lot of the individual characters that have their movies as well that go pop, and the Captain Americas and the Iron Mans and that type of stuff. But Avengers alone, is just so groundbreaking. Like I got like Disney subscription, and when you go into the is it the Disney subscription?
Yeah, it's Disney Plus, and they literally have the Marvel movies set in order for you to watch.
Yeah, in chronological order.
It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever.
When I scroll through that, and that's just a reminder of the catalog, like, and how they have put together this universe, and it's all threaded together from like the Doctor Strange series, and like you can really thread pieces of almost all of these series together.
It's a beautiful thing.
You have to have an amazing, forward-thinking, futuristic process to do that.
Yes.
Like to be able to say like, a movie that we're going to be making 8 years from now is going to tie into something that we're doing today.
Crazy.
The forward thinking of that is just amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the fact that and you have to pick, because I've actually just finished watching the entire Marvel like timeline getting up to Endgame, and of course there's Loki and Moon Knight and Hawkeye after that. But what I really appreciated watching those movies in order is the weaving that you were talking about. How there's specific details that you got to pay to, like how Captain America's Civil War was basically just one big prelude to the rest of the Avengers movies.
Yeah,
setting how the characters are set up, how Spider-Man gets introduced into the fold, and Black Panther, and how Thanos originally, his character origin started from Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot to understand, but once you do understand, it's fascinating.
And you want to know what's another crazy element that I feel like they spend so much time on, like not just that weaving that we're talking about, but I'm a guy that watches some of those blockbuster movies, and then I go back to YouTube and I watch some of those bigger channels do the Easter egg breakdown.
Okay.
So you take some of these large, like an Endgame or Black Panther, and you see the amount of Easter eggs that they've placed in these movies. It's amazing. It's like, who is thinking of this shit? Like, who is that creative? Who is that genius level when it comes to content?
Because it's for that fan. It's for that fan. For every person who goes to that length to create that sort of creativity, there is a fan out there that really likes that stuff. And that's who they're writing.
I totally believe that. But they're so genius and so in depth and so in abundance with their Easter eggs. It's so much that I'll be thinking like, are you guys like putting your Easter eggs in these movies and then giving these YouTube channels like the list and the breakdown? Because I feel like there's so many Easter eggs and so much clever, intelligent shit that it's almost impossible to nail everything. Like I watch some of these videos, they be like 30 minutes long, and these people finding some of the most hidden Easter egg gems, and when they break it down, it's like, wow, that's genius, that's crazy. And I'm like, how did people find that? You know what I'm saying? But like you said, there's those type of fans that they'll watch it back a million times, and for some of them it's a job to locate those things and feed their fan bases those breakdowns because there's an interest for it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And it all doubles back to how we started this, talking about good content.
Absolutely, man. And we talked about films for a little bit. I want to talk about I want to go to the music side. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hip hop head just as like you are, and I want to talk about what are some albums that the ARP listens to maintain that inspiration, to maintain that creativity.
Man. That is a playlist that is never ending. I don't have a specific go-to, whether it's for, the most time I draw on musical motivation is for training.
Got you.
You know, I train almost every day, almost every morning, right? And that's just that particular morning. You know, I wake up in the morning, I'll go down there and I'll be like, yo, let me get in the South. I need that adrenaline rush type of music. Then I'll get in like a purist hip hop bag. You know what I'm saying? Then I'll switch it up to something more, you know, old school. Like it's random. It's just I literally can just go down to my player and just be like, oh, right there, that I feel that vibe right now. Boom, hit play. You know what I'm saying? So it's purely random. But what I'm playing right now, because I do just like my movies, I go across everything, like as far as hip hop. I go across everything. Like I'm heavy in the South, I'm heavy on the East. I do a lot of Midwest. I'm probably not as in tune with the West as I should be, or maybe I'm just lacking on keeping up on things other than the obvious ones like the Kendricks and the Games and all that type of stuff. Like I think Kendrick's last album was a classic. That's just
absolutely was.
Yeah, I think that last album was a
raw
classic.
emotion. It was I felt like that album had you, like, people think, oh, Damn was very introspective. No, I think Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is way more introspective.
This album is a classic to me. And even the visuals that he ended up coming out with, like the videos were just amazing to me. Like I literally watched one of his videos and I was like, I bet you that Kanye watched that video and was mad. Like,
yeah, like you're like, oh, I gotta try harder with seeing this shit. You know what I mean?
And like he's got some amazing visuals that he rolled out with this album. But what I've been playing, I think the last 2 days the most is I'm more on my commercial side with DJ Khaled. Khaled's album. I think like a lot of people, God did really made him say, let's pay attention to this album. Let's take a look, see what else is going on. I think the Future and the Little Baby single came out early. You know what I'm saying? And DJ Khaled, he's been spitting out a video every 0.5 seconds for 100% every album. So the Jada Kiss, you know,
interlude.
Yeah, one verse track came out. You know, that's a banger. He's got one with like Bourgeois and Bounty on there. I'm West Indian. So that right there hit for me. He's got some shit on there.
Now,
man.
I wanna pause right there because DJ Khaled does have a, you know what I'm saying, an island vibe on every single album, where it's a Buju Banton, where it's a Sizzler, where it's a Movado. What is your take on that? And he, you know, paying respects and paying tribute to that vibe right there. And he does that. That's been a consistent thing with his albums.
I think well, didn't he have, who did he have signed to him for a little
Movado.
bit?
Movado.
It was Movado, right?
It was Movado.
So if he's willing to invest in bringing somebody into his brand and signing somebody from the dancehall scene, especially somebody like, well, Movado was big. You know what I'm saying? Movado's already a big artist. But if he makes that type of move of bringing a West Indian dancehall type of artist into his record label, that shows his respect and appreciation for that music genre. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen him consistently rock with that over the years. So I don't think it's a gimmick for him. I think that he has his own personal love and interest towards dancehall music. Dancehall music, you know, at one point was running everything. I feel like there was a point where dancehall music was bigger than hip hop. It was bigger than pop. It was bigger than everything that was going on. When you had your more Americanized culture type of dancehall that was a little bit more understood by Americans, that's when you had like your Mr. Vegas, Heads High, Kill Him with the, you know what I'm saying, all that on the scene. You had your Sean Paul, and it was more it was more Americanized dancehall that was a little bit more cleaner, more understood.
You could say Shaggy, right? You could say Shaggy as well, can't you?
Shaggy, yes.
Okay.
You know, and all that, It Wasn't Me and all that. These are the type of songs that really, really opened up, I feel like, for us here domestically, you know, what a sound is like overseas in Jamaica and, you know, Trinidad, and you know what I'm saying? So it opened up, but when it got commercial here, you know what I'm saying? It was the dominating force. It was the dominating force. Like, so I didn't forget that movement. You know, I lived it. I was in the clubs dancing and knew all them songs, or get off the dance floor if you wasn't in tune. Like I was
right.
in that whole movement. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, fast forward, it's not the most popular genre right now. And if it's not the most popular genre right now, then it's not the most money-making genre right now. Hip hop to me is.
Yeah,
And to
absolutely.
see somebody as big as DJ Khaled still making that investment and keeping that commitment, you got to salute that. You got to
100%.
salute that, even if it's
100%.
not the top, you know, charting, most dominant genre, most popular genre anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's dope that he does that.
I think it's a great, like, it's like a signature, like, move of his, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's always known, like, because I was explaining this to somebody, like, somebody asked me, what does DJ Khaled do? And I said, basically, DJ Khaled can take a song from the beginning stages all the way to the finishing stages and bring together some of the most popular artists that you probably wouldn't think have the time to put it, you know, make a song together. Like of course we want to hear, you know what I'm saying? Who would have thought, like, you have in 2022, you would have a Kanye West, Eminem with Dr. Dre production song together in 2022.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. That's insane to me. Or having well, I think the last album was a Jay-Z, Nas, and James Fauntleroy. Like, that's insane to me in 2021, in the modern age. So the fact that Khaled is still being able to, you know, pay attention just to who's hot right now, because he had Kodak Black and Nardo Wick on that album. He had Quavo and Takeoff, which the Party All the Time sample was that was a very good choice for that. That was a
Yeah.
very good choice for that. But he's able to keep his finger on the pulse of hip hop, but still paying tribute to the greats. You know what I'm saying? Having the Nas's, having the Rick Ross, having the Rick Ross, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne track for the people who really love hip hop and want to hear those verses, want to hear, you know what I'm saying, that type of music. So I salute Khaled. While his promotion can be a little bit unbearable sometimes, I will always salute his work ethic, because, man, he's been giving us some of the best collaborations for the past decade, even more than that. So
And not that I'm trying to jump into battle rap. I don't mind staying off of battle rap. I don't mind getting on battle rap,
go
whichever
right
way,
ahead. Go right
whichever
ahead.
way you want to segue. But I think that happens in battle rap too. It's like, for example, you say DJ Khaled, he obviously knows that Jay-Z is a great artist, and I'm just going to make something up. I'm just going to go on the R&B side. Let's say we know that the Isley brothers are great and are legends in their respect as well on the R&B side. But somebody has that idea, coordination, and power and situation to bring that idea together. It's no different in battle rap. Like, you might say, like, I know Battler ABC is talented as shit, and this one is talented as shit, but nobody thought about pairing them together
Absolutely.
and making them go up against each other. You know what I'm saying? So when people say the whole, what does DJ Khaled do? I think one thing that's overlooked is how much of a personal entertainer he is.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He's an entertainer within himself. He has household slogans, like Another One.
Yes.
That's in commercials.
Yes.
That's a household type of shit.
God did is a marketing phrase for him right now. Like, and blank did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it was and you have to come up with stuff that is hashtagable, if that makes sense.
That's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what we live in today.
That even when I was naming my podcast, I was like, the world that we're in right now, you need things that are catchy. You need something to be hashtagable, short as possible. You got to think about descriptions and titles and fitment there. All that type of stuff comes into play. But going back to Khaled, like, he's an overall entertainer himself. He's got his own personality. You know what I'm saying? The way that he looks like he's so careless. Like, he's the guy that everybody could just laugh and applaud on the dance floor. Like
100%, 100%.
Because he looks like he doesn't give a shit. So he's his own entertainer within his own right. He's got his own slogans. He's obviously got a lot of network and a lot of relationships around him. So he's a power player. He's a producer. And just even if you scrap all of that, once again, like we use the battle rap analogy, just being the person that has the idea of, you know what, if I take this beat, this production, this timing, this artist, that artist, this type of chorus, or this type of concept, you know what I'm saying, and I bring this together, you know what I'm saying, like, it could be magic. Like
100%.
Jay-Z probably wasn't thinking like, oh, what am I going to do in whenever they recorded that song in August or May or July, whatever. I'm gonna go record with Rick Ross and Lil Wayne randomly. Like, even though that collaboration, I'm not saying it's already obvious. It's still Khaled that's pulling it together at that moment, at that time. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I'm not even an industry guy, a music industry guy. That's just from the outside looking in and following hip hop.
Right.
The intricacies of all the other things that somebody like him probably has to do on a day-to-day for his job to put these songs and these albums and these tracks together is probably a list this long.
Absolutely. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like people say things like that from places of ignorance. And I'd rather say, like, not only from the outside looking in do I identify a lot of things that he already doing, but I'm smart enough to know that in his position, there's probably a million things I don't even understand that he has to do.
100%. 100%. He's DJ like, and that's why I love like the DJ drama albums, even producer albums. I love those because again, that still brings, that's like, okay, I have this sound. Now, what would it be like if I put this artist and this artist with my sound and create a song within it?
You know, speaking of producer albums, you know, that's my favorite verses. RZA and DJ Premier.
I have verses written on my notes. This is going great. Keep going. ARP.
Yeah. That's my favorite verses. My bad. I don't want to.
You good? No, you're great. You're great.
Yeah,
you're great.
The RZA, and that was before verses blew up. There was two guys. They both get on Instagram at the same time. You're in your living room. I'm in my living room, and that's when verses was just that. You know what I'm saying? They started landing deals with Trilla and all that type of stuff. Recently, taking it into venues and. They're at a point now. It's gotten so big. They got lawsuits going on now.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy. I was gonna I actually have it written down, his opinion on verses. So this is fantastic.
Yeah. So that was, speaking of, you know, that was a perfect segue then, because speaking of your produced albums, that's my favorite verses so far. You know what I'm saying? The RZA and the DJ Premier. And that's not the Staten Island bias in me. That's just I love that segment. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's because the catalog that both of those guys have allow you to, you know, breathe so many more classics than maybe just a straight up me versus you. Maybe that's the reason why I feel like I got much more. But man, when I watch that versus, you know, like I said, I'm an 80s baby. Where it takes me is just like, man, it's beautiful to see. And staying on verses, since you want to go there anyway, like, it's so fucked up of how COVID impacted our world.
Right.
But there are things that have come from COVID that changed this world or have given back to the world or given back to people. Not just in how we move as a society, but if we just stick within entertainment like we've been so far, we would have never gotten verses if it wasn't. And I feel like when you look at verses, it's so groundbreaking. Like, you have to really take a step back. We're actually lucky to see some of these people being able to go back and forth in some form of a battle or competition. We would have never gotten it. It's like legendary shit. Right. To see a Bounty and a Beanie, like they've done that before, like in, you know, there's the Sting concerts and all that type of stuff if you follow dancehall music. But to see like Beanie and Bounty or Gucci and Jeezy,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Or, that was crazy.
Yeah, or DJ Premier and RZA.
You're right.
Like, it's groundbreaking shit. It's really, really groundbreaking shit. 3 6 Mafia and Bone Thugs. These are like two of the biggest and best hip hop groups ever.
Period.
You know what I'm saying?
Just going hit for hit. Just going hit for hit.
I'm telling you. So what Versus has given us, like what was the one we had, one with like Babyface, and there's been some good R&B shit too.
There was one on was it Mother's Day? Was it, I forgot, or was it Easter? It was either Mother's Day or Easter. It was the Isley, the Isley brothers one. I forgot who the Isley brothers had. I remember we had a, you know, and you were talking about, you know, how we move as society and what COVID did. Zoom, this right here, like Zoom is a vital part of communication.
Imagine the people that have stock in any of these remote type of webcasting platforms.
Man, through the roof. Through the roof.
They cash it as terrible. But sticking with Versus, I mean, shit, the Locks and Dipset, that Versus, not saying that he doesn't already deserve it and he's not already one of our legends and one of our greats, but it still kind of gave a resurgence to Jada's career.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? He
100%.
said himself that I think a deal got elevated that he was negotiating because after verses or something like that.
He deserves
Yeah,
that 100% too.
he definitely deserves it. And then there's always that factor of generational gaps,
Right.
right? So you're always going to have a new crop of youth and a new generation that's coming in. Like there's literally people that can sing word for word every Little Baby song, and
Right.
then you ask them to name 2 Nas albums and they can't. There's literally people that have
That's
never
still
listened.
so crazy to me, though. That's still
Yeah,
so crazy to me.
or maybe never listened to an entire Biggie album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, there's literally people young enough to not understand why Jay-Z is argued as the GOAT. They're like, Jay-Z, like why? Who? How?
You
You know
have
what
to
I'm
go
saying?
back.
Like,
You got to go back and listen, because that's where my journey in hip hop started. It was my junior year in high school, and I just was not. I was just basically discontent with what I was hearing on the radio. So I was like, there has to be more music out here. My brother had LimeWire, BearShare, so he showed me how to look for what you want to listen to, basically what the type of type of albums, whether this is right, this is, what I'm saying, all the ins and outs on how to find your favorite music. And that's what I did for, from junior year up until now. I'm still learning about things. Like I went back and listened to the all of the Wu-Tang albums, including the solo albums, all of the, the Nas albums. I'm still working, with Jay-Z's. I think I'm probably haven't listened to Kingdom Come all the way through one time. Same thing with the Magna Carta Holy Grail. But those are the only 2 albums I really haven't became really familiar with. But just I think with me and just speaking from the younger person's perspective, I've just realized the one simple thing that y'all didn't have, which is we have time to go. We have the access to that information now. I have the access to pull up a Jay-Z album right now and listen to it, because and I may not understand because I wasn't there when it dropped, but that music still lives on, and I can still formulate an opinion, formulate a liking to it, because it's part of hip hop's history. It's part of, it's part of the study guide, basically. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
you have to complete the circle in anything that you love. You have to complete the circle. You got to know why Big Pun is Big Pun, or
absolutely.
you got to know who Big L is, and you got to know why cannabis had a chokehold on the game for a second.
Right.
You know, and you got to know why Eminem is in a lot of people's top 5.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have to go back and do even the waves, where there was like a Rockefeller wave, when there was a Cash Money wave,
there was a Dipset wave,
a Dipset wave, a No Limit wave.
The No Limit wave is still crazy to me.
The Bad Boy wave.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? There's probably people that recently
the
watched
G
that
Unit wave.
Show. The what?
The G Unit wave.
The G Unit wave. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people that's watching some of these recent award shows and they're seeing Shine for the first time. It's like that's the new Shine. Like you know what I'm saying? That's the shined up Shine. Like the Shine we knew, that was not the Shine we knew. You know what I'm saying? We know right. 5X T-shirt Shine that was getting into shit and had that type of. I felt like Shine's reputation was so street and so authentic when he came out. He didn't even have Diddy in his videos, if you realize that. You know what I'm saying? Because Diddy was known as the shine it up, dancing around everybody's video type. So he might get in Black Rob's video and do the woe dance and all that type of shit. He might be in Mace's video with the shiny suits. Yep. Of course, he's in Biggie's videos and all that. Mm-hmm. But Shine was the person in Bad Boy that had such a street element. I don't remember Diddy being in a lot of his videos. I think he definitely wasn't in the Bad Boys single video. I feel like he wasn't. But he had like his own like little, man, we could talk about this shit forever.
Yeah, no. There's no, because there's definitely as you brought up labels, there's definitely those members of those labels who had that island to themselves a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like Sean was his own thing. Kendrick was his own island for a little bit when he was with TDE, while he would still it was probably, I'll say probably around the Good Kid, Mad City time and moving forward was when he started to become his own island to himself. Schoolboy Q had his own little island when he did the Oxymoron and Blank Face LP. I say these examples because you brought up a great point of having a label, like you said, the waves and everything, because with those waves, everybody from that label tried to give you something different than their label cohorts. You know what I'm saying? There was,
I mean, but there's always going to be the breakouts. That always happens. You're going to go, fast forward Rockefeller, the breakout is still Jay-Z.
Right.
Rightfully so. If anybody remembers, there was a group called Destiny's Child,
Absolutely.
And even though, what's her name? Was it Kelly or whatever? It's still Kelly Rowland.
Yes.
Right. She's a big person. You know what I'm saying?
Very successful.
But at the end of the day, it's still Beyonce.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there was recently you had B2K guys involved and you have the Omarion. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's breakout people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Locks. I respect the Locks for still at least Styles is very visible. Chic much less over the years, but we always knew that the front breakout was you know what I'm saying? So sometimes there's a breakout, but it's still connected to that group.
Mm-hmm.
And you have other times where it's like the group is done, it's gone. The labels and the promotions and the fans are only taking this one person forward, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And when it was more these collective movements, you can get a Memphis Bleak to get shine. You can get a mill to get shine.
Foxy Brown. I'm trying to think. There was
like talking about the Firm.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Firm. I was trying to think of the other ones. It was AZ.
But even when you got the Firm, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Yeah. You could take one of the biggest and the best groups of all time, and some people could argue them the best group ever, the Wu. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
All the way back to 36 Chambers. Kind of the biggest standout is the most relevant today, which is Method Man.
100%.
All the way to his All I Need videos and everything, and
he was the star.
Yeah, he was kind of the biggest attraction.
Yes,
100%. You know what I'm saying? Like he had the biggest following, I felt like, as a solo. Yeah, I mean, so it happes.
But you also, like, in going back to the, we're talking about the Wu, we're kind of jumping, everywhere, but stay with us, y'all. I appreciate this conversation. You brought back to the Wu, but the thing is with the Wu, while it was still Wu-Tang sound, you still had Jizza with Liquid Swords sounded nothing like the Purple Tape. Sounded nothing like Supreme Clientele. Sounded, you know what I'm saying? Like you got a little bit of different, you know what I'm saying? You still got Method Man with the cow that still had his sound. You know what I mean? That was,
you didn't even mention the most unique person.
Dirty Bastard, of course. Dirty Bastard. You had a melting pot of.
Kappa had a very unorthodox type of delivery at times. You know what I'm saying? You God was a little bit more boom, 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 straight down the line in his type of style.
You had the affiliations. You had the 60-second Assassins. You had Sons of Man. You had the the Wu Syndicate.
Oh, the breakoffs was all types of places. You had Deadly Venoms. You had Killer Army.
Yep.
You had Shaheem. You had even in Killer Army, I remember like Killer Sin started to be a breakout. You know what I'm saying? You had remember King Just and Warriors Drum.
What's the lady's name? Blue Raspberry, I think that was her name. She did a couple records. She would do a couple records she was definitely in the Wu. She was definitely in the Wu rotation when it came to them. So there was
a lot of branches to that tree. That Wu movement, you know what I'm saying, it's still huge. It's legendary, man. It's legendary. I mean, and this is the thing, when we start talking about the history of hip hop, it's like, how do you not breathe this shit? How do you not love this shit?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not painful to go back and learn. Like, you see how you got some kids in school, they may hate history and they only want to do science and math or whatever. So like they have to go back and learn about this historic event or Pearl Harbor or whatever. It's like swallowing a fucking pain pill. You know what I'm saying? our shit is like, you do your homework on hip hop, it's actually enlightening. It's a
very,
beautiful thing.
very enlightening.
It's enlightening. It's beautiful to go back and listen to some of this stuff and be like, wow. So, and then you start to draw your dots and comparisons. Like, I understand now what came before this. I
It's the
understand
best
how this
part.
person got to this, or the ground that was laid for that. You know, it's like Jay-Z is, to me, our GOAT. You know what I'm saying? But even Jay-Z would tell you, like, nah, before I got here, we had this guy named Rakim.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was a Rakim guy a little bit. I was more of a Poogie rap guy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've always been into much more speedier flows. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's like even that, when you start to go back and start saying, like, all right, what about fast rapping? You know, like there was a time where, like, I feel like every album had to have a fast rapping cut, whether it's Jay or whether it's Nas, and it had a sped up flow. You got people that argue over that to this day. You know, you got your Twisters, you got your Bone Thugs. As a group, remember Das Effects.
Yes,
you know,
and you also can say Buster Rhymes was in that conversation.
Buster Rhymes had a lot of tracks.
His catalog is incredible, by the way. If like, because you were talking about
it's Buster Rhymes, and that's and then, like, for me, when you live through all of these eras of hip hop, like, I can watch today the Baby,
right?
And for me, I'm like, it draws comparisons to Busta Rhymes, because I look at his live performance and his energy and some of his antics and his, you know, being, you know, just out there like that. And I'll be like, I know somebody that did that very well as well from the past. His name was Busta Rhymes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just
even with the videos as well. Even with the videos as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And if the Baby was taking a page out of Busta Rhymes' book, he would be smart. Because
100%.
everybody looked forward to a Busta Rhymes video.
Every single one of my favorite music videos of all time is What's It Gonna Be with him and Janet Jackson.
Yeah, I think that's probably back when, like, Hype Williams was probably getting like
that was
video and shit.
That yo, when I remember watching that video as like when MTV Jams would come on, and I remember just watching, I was like, how did they do this? Like, how was, because especially because we didn't have the technology that we have now back then. So I'm still like, how did y'all, like, the
you mean monetarily?
Just not even, of course monetarily that took a lot of money, but it's just like the edits, the how they became like the water drops, and that shit was so cool to me because I'd never seen anything like it. It was one of those things where, like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those, and then you start to realize, like, as I got older, like, I realized, like, oh, that's a very pivotal part of Bust, you know, R&B, you know, rap sung collaboration, as the Grammys would like to categorize it as. That's one of the best ones, period. You know what I'm saying? Along with the All I Need, with, you know what I'm saying, with Mary J. Blige and Method Man, as we brought it back there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, being able to go back and study this shit, it's amazing. Like, watching like the little documentaries that Hove would have for the Black Album. You know what I'm saying? And watching that infamous video of Timberland paying him the Dust Your Shoulders Off beat, and he was like, what? Absolutely.
We just have so many historic moments where, if you were there, you can just treasure it. And some of those moments are still happening today. I don't want to act like the old guy that's like, man, if you didn't get my experiences, then you don't got nothing, because some of that shit is happening today, like groundbreaking shit. And I'm glad to be a part of that too. But it's just like, I remember what it was like when My Name Is came out.
Right.
I remember what I was going to. I was starting to go to clubs and shit when that was happening, and I remember what it was like when it felt like everybody found out he was white at the same time. Like, yeah, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember that. I remember what it was like calling into my local Pathmark that had my store in Staten Island. Everybody that's from Staten Island knows. Shout out to Majors and the Hubs and all that. You know what I'm saying? Those my niggas over there. They always had the albums early and shit in Pathmark, but giving a call to them like, yo, hold me a couple copies of Get Rich or Die Trying. You know what I'm saying? I remember how crazy that album hit. You know what I'm saying? I remember a lot of, it's just, and then fast forward, even when we got movies that come out like Notorious or Straight Outta Compton or Tupac, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we're almost reliving some of these moments. And it's just like, it's just a beautiful thing, like the hip hop culture. And that's one thing about hip hop that is so beautiful, because we've been talking about hip hop this whole time.
Right.
we've been focusing on music. Hip hop is not only music.
Yeah.
Hip hop is a lifestyle. And it got
Definitely.
its branches of, once again, graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, MCing. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that really comes from that era. I tried to graph. I was graphing. I was drawing on tables and drawing on walls, and I was going into some of the stores that went sell spray cans to kids and all that type of shit because everybody was trying to graph. I
Right.
was in that era. I tried to break dance for a second because that was just what it was.
ARP getting crazy on the cardboard is kind of crazy. That
Never
now that I
made it
think
to the
about
cardboard. I never made it to the cardboard, but I made a lot of noise in my mother's house to the point where, you know what I'm saying, I got in a lot of trouble jumping around trying to do splits and shit. Because you got movies like House Party that comes out, and you got Kid and Play, and you start linking up with your friends. It's like, yo, we're gonna try to make up this dance together where we kicking our feet together and spinning and
yeah.
sliding under each other's legs
Got a
and all
whole
that.
routine going, bro. Got a whole routine going.
The house party era alone. And when I say house party, I'm not just talking about the movie. I'm talking about when parties were popping in people's houses.
That's a fact. That's a
You know what I'm
fact.
saying? It's like
While
it's
it
just
may have been different back, back then, we had our own. It was way different for us because if it's just, but like we still had our somewhat house party era, like you know what I'm saying, like when Drake and basically those types of house parties were owned, and I was hearing just a lot of Drake and Future and Wayne. It was those three. Whether what like my age going to college parties or my friends hosting a house party or whatever. The main three people that were being played were Drake, Future, and Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? And it's like. And it's so crazy because it's like y'all had y'all's house party, like y'all have some of the same eras, but it's just different, different artists, different times, different things going on and around the world. That's why like I love being able to have these kinds of conversations so that way I can kind of helps me understand.
It's dope that me and I gotta have this like I said, I'm an 80s baby. I gotta have this conversation with a 25.
25, yes, sir.
With a 25-year-old. So shout out to you because you are up to speed, and for you to know the type of things that I know,
right,
and that I'm talking about,
right,
like you are of this cloth. You are of this culture. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you. I got friends that didn't know who Big L was, and they almost my age. So
oh my
you're
god,
ahead of them.
that hurts my feelings because like because you know what it is, me, I just don't like if I'm around my friends that really aren't into that, that really just don't necessarily care about that particular stuff, I just won't play it. I'll play I'm still with the Drakes, I'm still with the Lil Babies and the Migos and all that stuff, but like but don't get me wrong, bro. I'm this past week Tuesday I was at Kid Cudi was here at American Airlines Center, and I saw, and they were playing Most Def Mathematics. And I was like, as they were setting up the show and everything. And I was sitting there like, my girlfriend was sitting right next to me, and I was like, that's a Most Def song. That's crazy. They're playing a Most Def song. I was just looking around like nobody knows this. I'm like, bro, this is crazy.
And some people even give that its own category. Like they'll take a Most Def and they'll put that with To Live, of course.
Right.
They'll put that with like a DITC.
Right.
They'll put that with maybe like a Dead Prez. You know what I'm saying? Like people, they used to call that backpacking. You know what I'm saying? You have like CDs and double discs and all that shit. Like remember the Lyricist Lounge or the Lyrical Lounge or whatever?
Lyricist Lounge.
About that.
Lyricist Lounge.
Yeah. So you're in tune with that.
Yeah.
And it's just like that whole wave, like that was even its own pocket. Like they called it backpacking, but it was still dope. It was like a purist lane.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like a purist lane, but it's just amazing, man. It's just amazing. And you got all these regions adding their different elements, and then every region has also broken their own mold. When people will say that the South is this, then it's like, okay, well, let's prove that the South is more than that by giving you the TIs of the world and the Outcasts of the world that are like lyricists and shit like that.
Man.
It's just a beautiful thing, man. Like our culture and our lifestyle of hip hop is something that, I'm taking to the grave with me.
100 and I've learned about it and began my journey and still continue to be on my journey in this great thing we've called hip hop. Like I've it's like one of those things where you at least have to try, a couple of things sometimes. Like in 2016 I made myself a mixtape, like, you know what I'm saying? Just earlier this year, you know, shout out to Clubhouse, shout out to my upstairs gang. Like we did battles, and I was able to participate in a 3-round battle and be in that format and have that thing of, all right, I gotta remember my rounds, you know what I'm saying? Like just coming up with punchlines and stuff like that. Like being able to try that kind of stuff. I remember I bought myself an Akai keyboard and taught myself how to make beats for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like I just wanted to be able to try that stuff, because who am I to just to not, you know what I'm saying? Who, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that. I won't know until I try, you know what I'm saying? And what, you know, and then I found this wonderful medium, you know, in hip hop that we've embraced. You know, of course there's, you know, not so good media, but there's a good side of media where I get to have these kinds of conversations and just relish in the fact that we can participate in such a wonderful culture that allows these types of things to happen. You know what I'm saying? And can be done through different avenues, albums, films, artwork itself, free, you know what I'm saying? Freestyles. Like you just said, you were talking about the Lyricist Lounge. I remember Big Tigger's, you know, in the basement freestyles. I remember when Birdman came to Big Tigger, put the flag on the microphone, and Lil Wayne dropped one of the best freestyles I ever heard, when he started rapping over Kali Buds'
from
the guys, yeah, live from the 504, Mr. Crazy Flow, Mr. Crazy Flow jumping like a bungee, no rope, like crazy, man.
That was the Gilly diss.
Yes, the we call him Gilly the Squid. You call him Gilly the Squid. Yeah. And it was just like I remember watching that specific freestyle on TV, like live, like, and thinking like Lil Wayne. I was like, yo, this dude's about to be like the best thing in the world. And then I went through my G Unit phase. You know what I'm saying? I had the Lloyd Banks Hunger for More one. I had the Massacre. I had, you know, my grandpa let me borrow Get Rich or Die Trying. My brother had Straight Outta Cashville. You know what I'm saying? Even Tony Yayo was being played. You know, we no disrespect to Tony Yayo, 100% no disrespect to Tony Yayo, but he was kind of like on the lower end side. I didn't get too familiar with Tony Yayo, but as far as Buck, Banks, 50, and you know what I'm saying, in Game, you know what I'm saying, those were my guys. Like when it came to G Unit, I had G Unit.
I mean, even before those guys came in, like the Bucks in the Games, and for a second you had Spyros, and then even down the road you had MOP, you had Mobb Deep, that's into G Unit. But the early days, even before the label albums dropped, you know, when it was just the mixtapes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yayo was always Yayo. He had his energy. He did his hype man shit. You know, he was that third guy. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there's in almost every group, there's that third. Onyx had that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Fredro, well, Sticky was the top guy. You know, so we always look forward to when Stickies were started. Fredro was like number 2, and then number 3 was like Fair. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that about Tony Yayo. Shout out to Tony Yayo. I love.
But Tony we can Yayo say the same thing about Sheik. We can say the same thing about Sheik with the Locks.
Almost until I felt like Sheik Luch had of all 3 the best solo album. But that's a different debate.
Is that okay? Are you talking to which? Is it the Silverback Gorilla? Which is
the one that had the single "Everywhere We Go"? People wanna know.
Okay. I may have to go back.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think that single was on there, but
okay.
I always felt that Sheik had the best solo album. But point being, there's always gonna if you put that's what we do. We always put these people in order. We rank them, right?
100%.
Who's the worst? You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So that's always gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, but with G Unit, you know, Yayo was always behind, you know, 50, who was the overall machine and animal of it, and attraction and image, and everybody bought into his story, his situation, and his rhymes. But then you had this lyrical guy, like doing these lyrical exercise songs and the Banks workout songs and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Flying King.
Yeah, and he didn't give us that much personality. All we knew is that this is a rapping ass nigga, Lloyd Banks. You know what I'm saying? So even the early June days, you know, gave us buy-ins to people outside of the top guy. Banks was a draw. You know what I'm saying? Like Banks was a big draw. And if you ever speak to Banks like off camera and shit, it's funny because he sounds just like me and you. Like we grew up on G Unit and thinking that Banks was like this robot. anytime I've been on the phone with Banks, like he's regular flowing like me and you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's not this robotic guy that, at least personality that I picked up on, that we interpreted from back then when I guess he was kind of like more stonewalled off in interviews and everything like that.
Right.
But I think that also was dope within G Unit because it was more so like that kind of mystique to him. Like that's just a rapping ass nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he didn't have to have all that outlandish, outspoken, wild shit like 50 did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or like Yayo did. He had his own like type of aura and energy within a group. But the G Unit movement within itself, we could do this shit for days, man.
Yeah, no, it's just there's so many. It's just there's so many avenues that you can go down to when it comes to this culture as hip hop. But one thing that is definitely maintaining a consistent has been a consistent factor is business when it comes to hip hop. How are these people getting these opportunities and how are they being, you know, broadcasted to us? And I think it also comes down to good business. So I look at you somewhat as I can say, you know, that you're definitely an entrepreneur and somebody who pays attention to those minute details because you are a businessman at the end of the day. I want to ask for somebody like me, so like I guess, you know, tips to the younger generation. Any business tips, any phrases that you would like to, you know, share as far as, you know, when it comes to business and making investments, or just a young guy who just wants to, you know, make sure he's spending his money correctly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that right there within itself to me is almost like a catch-22.
Right.
Because to say how to spend your money correctly, like if everybody could give you that formula perfectly, then we'd all be rich and everybody would hit anytime they invested.
Facts.
It's called an investment for a reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when you ask somebody like me for that type of advice, because I've been on all sides of the spectrum. I've been in multiple different businesses of being an entrepreneur. I own my own shop at one point. I do the battle rap thing. You know, I've been in real estate spaces, buying and selling homes and that type of stuff. And I've been on both sides where, you know, you have your times where it's just like, yo, this is a hit. And other times like, damn, this is a loss. And for me personally, I think that a lot of my successes come from, I don't want to say patience, because once you're doing well, if you keep on building on it, you're really supposed to just moving your shit up higher and higher and higher. I would more so say the key word is building, having the mentality of, and it's funny too, because that's on the battle rap side of things, that's our motto, brick by brick.
Yep.
And I just feel like it sounds cliche, but it's so true to come across so many people that just want that microwave instead of getting over the stove. I think that's another reason why a lot of people think that there's only like X amount of career choices in this world. Like, all right, sports, acting, or rapping or some shit. Like there's a lot of people who feel like I want to get into one of those lanes and that's my main goal. There's a million different ways to earn money in this world. But some of them require you to actually move up the ranks. Some of them, you know, require you to acquire greater and greater knowledge or expand more deeper and deeper into whatever industry or whatever, you know, type of job or role that is. And I feel like people don't look far enough ahead. People want to say, I want to do this, and I got maybe a couple months to a year type of turnaround, you know, resiliency. You know what I'm saying? And I've never looked at it like that. You know what I'm saying? I think I got that from my mother. My mother was a 9-to-5er, you know what I'm saying? And I watched her sustain. Like she wasn't always great, but she was never bad because, you know, she sustained a career. You know, there's a difference between a job and a career. You know what I'm saying? The job is something you go out and you could just grab anywhere. A career is something that's supposed to be able to follow you. You're supposed to be able to continue to be able to build on and grow with the times, a career. And I just feel like not enough people give themselves a backdrop of a career and have the mentality of, okay, I might start out, you know, like a little frustrated. I might get to a point then where I'm just getting by, or maybe check to check. I might move up after that and just be like, just getting by. After that, I might get myself a nice little car and into an apartment, you know what I'm saying? But if I stay on this road, you know, for 5, 10, 15 years, I'm going to end up with that mansion. I'm going to end up making that $1 million. I'm going to end up driving them nice cars. Whatever you feel your vices are that determines your own goals or your own success criteria. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever those things are, they are so achievable. And I feel like people think that they're like these dreams unless you have like the lightning in a bottle or like you hit the lottery type of situation. Like, okay, I signed this record deal, or I got drafted to this team, or, you know, I dropped this single and it caught on and it went viral. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people play the lottery more than they're willing to say, you know what? Keep the lottery. I'm just going to keep building this little piece by piece shit right here. Right. And it's like also the concept and the philosophy of like, would you rather get a lump sum of $1 million today, like let's say as a 20-year-old, right? Or would you rather earn like let's say $75,000 a year for the next 30 years? I'm the type of person that would never take that on the spot. Oh, I'm a millionaire, I got my $1 million. And we don't got to even go into, you know, aspects of like what's supposed to be more so common knowledge these days of like, okay, that's $1 million. You better chop off like anywhere from 20 to 40% in taxes right away. Right. That's becoming more common knowledge. But even if you remove that factor, people just want everything now.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, they don't want to build up things in a longevity type of role. I'm that guy that says, I'd rather take 75,000.
We're back. We are back. Little mishap, but thanks to Zoom, we were able to still get back here. ARP is still with us once again. ARP, thank you for your time,
my man. Appreciate you, baby. Yeah, if technology didn't fail us every once in a while, most of us would be out of jobs. You know, we'd be running completely on AI on some robot shit. So
that's crazy.
Technology fails every once in a while.
which brings us, you know, we were talking about instant gratification, and we were also talking about sometimes the differences between, you know, you're an 80s baby, I'm a 90s baby, so the difference in that is the increase of instant gratification with my generation is insane. Like, you know, we're in the instance of, you know, Beyonce can drop Future can drop an album by surprise and we get it in our hands right there. Whether it's back then, if somebody just wanted to do a surprise thing, it would have to be, you really couldn't do that because it would have to be, you know, it probably wouldn't get the same reaction to it. You know what I'm saying? Like Future can drop an album in, you know, in the span of, you know, it's 8:37. He can drop an album at 8:45 and it could still be on the #1 Billboard charts. You know what I'm saying? But if you were to drop an album back in the 90s where, you know, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't social media, there wasn't easy ways for us to talk to this artist, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. Dang, I didn't even know Future came out with a project. What is this? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the
it definitely can tie into instant gratification, but at the same time, I don't think anybody is ashamed of the technical advances of society and of our world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely,
it definitely helped us. It's made us more efficient. It's made us, you know, faster. It's enabled us to make more money. From a business standpoint, you know, it makes you definitely more efficient. Like, and if we use music industry, they're cutting out the middleman all over the place. You know what I'm saying? They're able to go direct to consumer with a lot of their product. You know, but back to instant gratification, you know, it depends on the form that it's coming in. If we're talking about how you consume your entertainment, I enjoy both. I enjoyed my era where, you know, I got to read the Source magazine and see the mic ratings of an album, and then go to the store when it drops and pick up the album and rush home and peel it open and put it in the CD player and hit play while I'm still reading the credits and everything like that and reading the inside booklet, versus today where it's just like, oh, a new album came out. I may not even have to go to fucking iTunes. It's probably right there on YouTube, a playlist already on somebody's Vivo or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's all over the place, so you could just Google it and it's there. But going back to the topic that we kind of segued into of, you know, whether it's coming from my entrepreneurial side or whether it's coming from just my corporate America side, right? Just ingredients of success. You know, whether you're talking about technical or technology advancements or not, having the mentality of instant gratification, period, is already going to put you on, you know, a road to even if you are successful, you're not going to reach a peak. You're not going to max out. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to max out. But That's just my own personal formula and philosophy. I did a video on my Instagram, and I was kind of based around painting a picture of being fucked up. So when we say the term being fucked up in our world, it means, you know, being broke, being in a bad space, being down on your luck, not being in the best position. You know, damn, I'm fucked up right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we mean, you know, when we say that term, pretty much. And I gave kind of like an analogy of like, you know, asking the average viewer, how long do you want to live? So you're 25 right now, right? Give yourself a age that you would be happy to live to.
90.
Let's say, all right, let me take that down a little bit. Let me take 20 off of that.
But the reason I say that, the reason I say that is because my great grandmother, she lived until she was 96, and she had lived all of the life that she had lived, and she went out very peacefully. So that's something that I want.
And the analogy and the point that I'm about to make, it actually works better the older that you are. So it works better for a 90-year-old. But I'll even decrease the point while still making the point by saying, let me just give you 70, right? Which is beautiful in a full life, okay?
Right.
So imagine if you're a, you know, instant gratification person. Give me my $5 million at the age of 25 right now. And, you know, after that, I'll figure out the world after that. I'll figure out what I'm going to do next or whatever. And I said, like, if you financially don't figure out how to keep some type of comfort in a consistent way by the time, let's say, you're 40. Now, if you haven't figured out how to sustain by the time you're 40, most people would say you're a failure, right? Like you're 40 years old and you're fucked up, right? Like they would say you're a failure, right? But imagine you live till 70. That's why I said, let's just not even go to the 90. Let's just say 70.
Okay.
Because if we go to your 90, that's another 50 years.
Right.
Of being fucked up.
Right. I see what you mean.
You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So that's why, to me, you know, getting over that stove and cooking and laying your bricks down in a way where it's just like, I can continue to be on this path for the long run instead of going in at anything for instant gratification. Even your spending habits. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't even save money these days. It's just like, it's the way that people go after success that I feel like puts them in a bad position very fast. Or and even if you're okay until you're 40 and you want to live till 70, you better figure out what you're going to do for those 30 years.
That's a fact.
That's a tough place to be in. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I can't figure out how to sustain my current lifestyle or a lifestyle that makes me comfortable for the next 30 years of life. You know what I'm saying? So when people ask me like, man, what's your advice on success, or what's some of the things that help you get to the places that you wanted to get to? I always just go back to, like I said before, you know, my mother's way of cooking up, which was like, you know, I don't want the instant gratification. I don't want the big pot. I'm going to consistently do this for the long term and keep myself in a certain position. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have my jumps here and there. You know what I mean? But if you stay consistently within a career or some type of, you know, choice that you are happy to, a road that you're happy to be on. You know what I'm saying? Because the best job is the one, or the best career is the one that you actually enjoy, right? Nobody wants to wake up and have to do something that they hate to do. That's not going to give you a level of consistency. That's not going to be sustainable. It's like a diet where you're just waking up and eating fucking rice cakes. You're going to lose weight in a month, right? But then a year later, you're like, I can't fucking do this. Like, you end up having like a yo-yo diet. You bounce and you regress because it's like, I couldn't stick to rice cakes. That's why they say, just to make that point, that's why they say like the best diet is the one that you could stay on.
That's a
right.
that is a
The
fact.
best diet is the one that you can stay consistent with. It's no different than the way you earn money, or you say becoming an entrepreneur or being successful. The best one is the best form for me is the way that you can stay consistent. If that means that I have to build this shit brick by brick so that my foundation and my core is strong enough that even on my worst day, I have a fallback and a backdrop,
right?
I'll take that rather than being fucked up for 30 years. If you can put all those strings and those points together, that's been my philosophy. Now, of course, based on certain avenues, there's other more granular details like, all right, well, how did you open up that shop? Or How did you get into battle rap? That's more granular and that's more specific to that.
But what it
That
comes down
lane.
to is
Yeah.
consistency. What
The
the
core
beta.
principle, this tattoo right here, it's a Chinese character. It means consistency. It's one of my favorite
Mm,
words in the world.
mm.
I tattooed this on me like I feel like over 15 years ago or something like that. Because I feel like every lane of success that I've had, and success isn't just about money, right? Success could be even a relationship. It could be
Right,
a marriage. It
right,
could be raising a child or whatever.
right,
You know what I'm saying? It could be weight training. It could be dieting. It could be anything. It could be making music. You know what I'm saying? It could be reading books and obtaining knowledge. To me, I feel like it's always been my core ingredient to all the lanes that I've had some form of success in. Consistency to the point where I tatted it on. You know what I'm saying? So that's my advice to anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur or just look ahead to long-term success because it can be, they say life is short. um I understand the perspective when people say that,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have to look in the future and say I want to live till 90 like you just did, right?
Right, right, right.
Then what's 90 minus 25?
That is that's 75. 75 years. Jeez. That's gonna
so
be
so
that's yeah. And that's gonna
so
be
that's what you have to plan for.
and while that's a lot to think of in that perspective,
Yeah.
I look at it from um I looked at it just basically as like, basically if this person can do it, I can do it as well. You know what I'm saying? That's as and while sometimes that having that perspective on certain things isn't the best. Um my great grandmother was on my father's side was an amazing woman, and the fact that she was able to do the things, she was able to live the life that she wanted to. And I'll always take that to always take that to the grave, is just because um just seeing her being able seeing watching somebody, I've of course I didn't know her when she was born, but like watching somebody, just as get older, and then they just it's I never knew, like I thought when you passed away something had to be wrong with you as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I thought something had to be wrong with you. But seeing somebody live their life and just it they just, you know what I'm saying, like they lived out their life. They,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, they went peacefully. And
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
seeing that was such like a was of course it was very, very sad to see her go, but at the same time it made me think like I can live my life to a point where I can go peacefully. I can, you know what I'm saying? I just have to take those steps. I have to take those initiatives to, have some discipline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And,
And
and
learn.
don't get it twisted. I don't want anybody that I don't want to say is stupid, but I don't want anybody to see this and be like, "Damn, who wants to work until they're 90?" Like, no.
No, 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 no,
like,
no. I want to
like,
live, not work until I'm 90,
yeah,
but
yeah,
live. Like,
yeah. And when I made the point of being fucked up for X amount of years that you want to live to,
mm-hmm,
even if like you're able to retire by the time you're 50 or 55 or 60 or whatever,
mm-hmm.
you still have to do things for a set amount of years. It could be 20, 30, 40 years to
Yeah.
be able to have that situation that when you're 50 and you're 60, you can be comfortable for 30 years while you're not working and not physically capable, or maybe your talent and your physicality isn't there anymore. You think LeBron James could be LeBron James when he's 45 years old? You know what I'm saying? Or 50 years. Some people might say yes, right? That's another topic.
That's definitely
that's
another
another
topic.
topic. That's another topic.
Yeah.
But point being, your talent goes sooner or later. Your looks go sooner or later. Your
Mm-hmm,
physical capabilities go sooner or later.
mm-hmm.
You need investments that you had, or maybe your property is paid off, or maybe you're living off a retirement fund or 401k or some type of, what I'm saying? Like
Right.
these are the type of things that we have to think about. And if you're not in a fortunate position where your parents are able to hand so much down to you,
Mm-hmm.
you have to create that for yourself.
100%.
You have to create that for yourself.
And
So
being me, when I moved out of my parents' house, I was very adamant on wanting to not only, like, of course I am very grateful to have parents that who support me and will be and are there if if I need help. But also it's amazing to I feel it more gratifying, and I feel it more I feel better when I earn my paycheck at the end of the day because I worked for it. You know what I'm saying? I said this when I first when I got my first job and I got my first paycheck, I said this exact same thing. I said getting this paycheck, like, it doesn't matter what the amount is. It's just the fact that I earned this and nobody can take that fact away from me is something, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so awesome to me. And like, when I've done I think this is my 98th podcast episode period of this series. And just the fact that I've been able to do all of those makes me feel better. Like, it makes me good. I don't care about the views and whatever. It'll come soon. You know what I'm saying? But just like that. And it's like, but it's the fact I love to do this, having these types of sit down interviews and having these types of conversations. That's the stuff that drives me. That's the stuff that inspires me to be like, wow, like, what am I going to take from this conversation? What pieces of advice or, gems that I can take from this? You know what I'm saying? Or
even viewership, for example, and how people equate views and viewership to success is a limiting mentality.
Absolutely.
100%. Right. And that's not a brick by brick mentality. That's not a development mentality. As you know, I started podcasting recently, right?
Sorry, it's true.
The Sorry It's True podcast on the Rare Breed Entertainment YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have a blog. I've done blogs in the past, even if I don't talk about my new podcast. I've done blogs in the past. I've done 250,000 views.
Right.
Literally, I have 250,000 view blogs of me just talking about somebody or a situation or whatever, right?
Yep.
I have 100,000 view interviews that I've done on other platforms and whatnot. I might get on my own channel and do something, talk about The Sopranos, and it might do 10,000 views, right?
Right.
Now, for my channel that's closing in on 400,000 subscribers, 10,000 views, I'm supposed to look at that and be like, damn, right? But you have to look at it like, all right, this channel has built up a core audience for battle rap content, right? And if I'm going to podcast and blog consistently on this channel, that needs to be developed as well. Which is why you see me being humble enough in my early episodes, saying things to the fans and the followers like, what camera view do you like? You guys like
I remember that. Yeah, I remember you on the latest episode. Yeah.
Even though I've been running a YouTube channel since 2013, I'm still humble enough to come back down to, I drop a video that might do 5,000 to 15,000 views, for a fan base that is getting used to me podcasting. And still even being humble enough to ask them about my editing. And I've been editing for years, or asking them about my backdrop. And I've been choosing backdrops for years. That's a brick by brick mentality. You never be cocky. You never be overconfident. You don't feel like you know everything. You connect with your fans. You allow them to help you. Don't come across like you can never be helped. You know what I'm saying? Like millionaires can be helped. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have this way of thinking sometimes that is so restrictive that I feel like we block our own blessings. We block our own progress. You know what I'm saying? Simply by our mentalities. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see videos of Denzel Washington in acting classes, that says my whole point to me. That says my whole.
That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes.
To this day, you can see video of recent, like an old man Denzel Washington in acting classes. You know what I'm saying? LeBron James still has a coach. He still goes to that sideline and listens to somebody if he respects them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like we see these pockets like that should remind us that no matter where you've gotten to, no matter how much money or how much of viewership or how much success you have amassed, you're still in a process of learning and getting better. And same thing on the flip side. Even if you're doing videos right now and they're only doing 1,000 views or a couple hundred views, if your goal is to move up the ranks, you have to earn that. We just said instant gratification is not something that is sustainable, because I can give you a 1 million view video right now, right? I can get on this camera with you right now and say some of the most outlandish things about people that we know in this culture, and it'll go viral, and that'll be the only video on your channel. And then when you don't have a bunch of those, then it's just like, oh, this channel is dead, versus a consistent, like, this one was 1,000 views, this one was 800 views, but it's consistent good content of this man Flight talking his talk, or his content, or his type of topics. Those are the viewers that are going to come with you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Versus the ones that came in real quick for 1 million views, and then somebody wasn't there talking about some wild shit that happened in the culture or whatever, and then they was, you know what I'm saying? Like it's cool to have those bumps and those moments, and maybe you have you know, some new subscribers that come in. But for me, my mentality is always brick by brick. Always. Every venture that I'm in, it's a brick by brick mentality. Every venture.
Consistency. And man, and speaking of consistent, I think I consistently have good conversations with you, man. I think every time I always learn something, little or small, you know what I'm saying?
Me as well.
And the fact that you know, been out to the Max Out, Max Out 2 events, you know, you treated hip hop as real and myself very fairly. So I want to say thank you for that, and just thank you for being able, you know, for the cooperation for this episode. This episode, you know, was supposed to happen a couple times, but the fact that ARP was genuine and nice enough and a great enough guy to keep in contact with me through this, and we are able to get to this is means a lot to me. So thank you very much, ARP.
Thank you.
That means a lot. And you know what I'm saying? And like I said, when you're if you guys have, I'll put the link to the interview that I did with you for the Cassidy after the day after Cassidy versus Hitman. It's an interview that I think is, you know, it's definitely chopped up into pieces, but it's something I hang my hat on. I remember leaving, getting on the plane, going back to Texas, thinking I got a classic interview with ARP.
Oh man, that's dope. Man, that's dope.
That's because that's what I like, man. When I see like Kevin Hart do his sit down interview series on Peacock that he has, and then I see like I remember for a short period of time David Letterman had a whole series on Netflix where he would sit down and talk to people. When I look at that kind of stuff, or when I look at like a Jimmy Fallon or a Jimmy Kimmel, and I look at like, oh, I can be successful in that lane if I just stay on that. If I just stay on there, don't focus about the destination. Focus on just making that next step. Just to close this out, and you were talking about gyms. I heard this quote about, you know, this guy was I believe he was in the Army, and they were in a very you know, they were a type of situation where he didn't know, he was blinded, and he was very scared about he was scared about walking, and he's like I can't see. And I said, do you see your, and the guy was like, do you see your next step? And he said, yes. Make that. Don't worry about the end result of this. Can you make your next step? Like that is a question and a motto that I have adopted recently, because it's like, of course we all want that end goal. We like you said, instant gratification. We all want that. We all want that $1 million. We all want that million view video, or whatever it is that is your light at the end of the tunnel. But just remember, when you're not there yet, just focus on what that next step is. Like me. Go ahead.
That is so dope when you say that analogy of like the blinded guy. Just can you see your next step?
Yes.
Make that. And I have a friend that me and my brother Shata, you know Shata.
Of course.
Talk about in regards to some of his choices, because we all kind of like even study each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like constant learning and critiquing of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend, his path is he likes to make a lot of major decisions, or I should say, put a lot of major decisions in his life on pause until he completes a whole group of other things, right? That's how he chooses to approach a lot of mega things in his life. I haven't been like that. I've been more of that next step, like you just mentioned. Can you see your next step? Make it. And like even I'll give like a more personal example. I'll talk about like homes, right? I think I've lived in like, I don't even want to say how many homes, right? But every time I've built a home, it's been like this. It's been a ladder. Like I can take people back to the first home that I've ever purchased, and I can show you everything from now and in between, and you'll see the progression in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That is your next step.
Yep.
It's all a form of your next step. You can keep in your mind of never being complacent, which I think is very healthy, right? Never complacent. You can give me $50 million. I'm not complacent. Even when I'm comfortable, even when I'm happy, I'm not complacent, because not being complacent keeps you motivated, keeps you striving for more and for better and for higher levels of success, right? But even when you get to these places that whatever the individual deems as their comfort or their happy zone, right? Taking that as a step, you know what I'm saying? And then saying, okay, how do I get now to the next? It doesn't have to be major. Like people think that these steps have to be big.
No, they
you don't have to say, how do I go from the Kia to the Lamborghini? Like you
nah,
don't have to
man.
do
Just
that.
focus on
You know,
maintaining that Kia, because I guarantee you that Kia is gonna get you to
even
that
even
Lamborghini.
and even better than that, yo, get your license.
That's
Get,
yes.
get your license. Get your license. You know
Get
what I'm
that
saying?
insurance. Make sure that
My
insurance plan
first
is good.
my first car ever was I think it was a 1992 Hyundai Elantra.
Okay.
I bought it from a junkyard for $800, and I spent like less than $2,000 or something like that to fix the transmission get a rebuilt transmission in it from Amico. Right. Like I said, bought straight out of junkyard, put rims on it and everything. You know, so I jazzed it up, painted it. It's a piece of shit though. You know what I'm saying? I had a car that my brother would tell you, it used to slip the gears this is the same car. I used to slip gears before I went to Amico and got the transmission rebuilt. Like I remember one time we was bugging out trying to chase these girls in the car. We was just playing like flirting and shit. We was just like chasing them, like, we're gonna catch up or whatever. And I couldn't even get into like third gear, and it was an automatic. You know what I'm saying? And the car was just like my brother sitting there laughing at me and shit, like, yo, look like this boy piece of shit. You know, I had another car when I was in school. I went to college in Atlanta, and I had a car. I was one of the only freshmen on campus with a car, but once again, it was a piece of shit. Nobody knew that. It couldn't go in reverse.
Man.
The car couldn't. So when you got a car in college as a freshman, and a lot of people don't got cars, you get some cool points for that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I was the guy that it's like we going to the club. A got the whip. We out.
Right. Yep.
But everybody knew I had to be real careful about how we parked and where we parked, or making sure that I parked in where the other cars come box me in or whatever, because I couldn't put the bitch in reverse.
Sheesh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yikes, man.
But that little A to B got us where we needed to go. We had a good time.
Right.
That's a step. That's a step.
Just know that step.
I got rid of that, and then you get the next thing, and then you get the next car that may be a little bit, healthier. You know what I'm saying?
That's I mean, no facts on my end, bro. My first vehicle was a 2004 Ford F-150, and it was a 3-seater. And you were talking about how when you were the freshman who had the whip. I was in my friend group, I was the only one who had a car. So when we was ready to go, it was like when we were trying to go places, the list was bigger because we had a car. I could drive over here, I could drive over there. Man, when I tell you, I fit. It's a 3-seater car. It's the driver's seat. There's a middle seat that comes up, and then there's a passenger seat, and then there's a little tiny space in the back.
Shit sounds like a U-Haul.
Yeah, a little tiny space in the back. I fit 5 people in that car, and I remember driving home from a house party, and I was like, this is like, and I think back on those times, and I'm just like, because I ended up purchasing my own. I have a 2018 Ford Fusion now that I've had ever since then. I got it in 2018, and that was like, I had to go through. I was like, I'm so grateful for that Ford, because it taught me that all that stuff that you know, I have now in the Ford. I have more space. You know what I'm saying? I went from an extended cab to now I got 4 seats. I got space now,
Yeah,
and it's just little
times
things like that.
It's all steps, man. And when you can look back on that stuff, it makes wherever you start to get and the things you start to attain that much sweeter. It's like I got those type of stories for days, man. Like we used to carpool to death. You know what I'm saying? Like it was those days where everybody's putting in gas money. We go into the city. You got five when you have arguments. You get mad at whoever's not putting up no gas money or no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember those days. I remember I had one of my boys from back in the day, my man John from Staten Island. He had a Bentley, but he was a scammer. You know what I'm saying? And I could say this because you know he went down for it and everything, so he served his time. So it's not like, oh, you putting him out there like, nah, everybody. It's already a situation that's already out there. You know what I mean? But I remember one time we was going out and he was like, yo, we out. And I was just like, yo, you coming to pick me up? Because he was in his wheel. And I'm just like, why are you driving by yourself? And he was the one that changed my mentality back then. He was like, you're supposed to drive by yourself. I also used to carpooling like as a teenager and shit. Like that's how we got around. Like whoever got the wheel, everybody put some gas money up and we out. My man John was the first one. He came through with the joint and he made me feel like I was behind. Like I was on some young shit. He was like, yo, everybody drive your own car. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of made me realize like you gotta have your own shit.
You gotta move on your own time. That's what I learned with that.
Shit. Yeah, you gotta have your own shit. You gotta move on your own time. Like I need to find a way to stop fucking having a carpool. Like
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like fuck this carpool and shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like and then you realize you're growing up. It's like, all right, like you get to a point. Like I went out last weekend with a bunch of my boys. Nobody carpools, nothing. Like we're grown ass men. We're at that point. Niggas leave the club at different times and shit. You done partying, whatever. You go up to it, yo, you good? Everybody good? Yo, I'm about to get up out of here. Nobody's relying on each other. You know what I'm saying? You get in your car and go the fuck home.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but it's just I guess that still to me all kind of encompasses, you know, just getting to your places of comfort. And if you're not there yet, continuing to build in those ways and not allowing yourself to just, you know, require instant gratifications or rely on something to hit all at once.
Right.
You have to go through these motions of like the days where you struggle for. I'm not saying you have to. What I really mean is it's okay to go through the times where
it's gonna make you a better person at the end of the day.
Yeah, or you took that job that was only paying $30,000-$40,000. You know what I'm saying? And you took that to get to your next jump. Nothing is wrong with that shit because when you build those type of foundations and those type of I guess consistent forms of income, you know, you don't have to end up in that scenario where we said where you fucked up for 30 years. You know, 40 years, or in your case, 50 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's all relevant to me. It's all relevant and it's all related, man. And that just be what the type of shit that I'm on. Never being complacent, putting a great deal of consistency in everything and treating everything brick by brick and not being scared to, you know, get on the stove instead of looking for the microwave. That'd be my shit.
You know, ARP, I always, like I said earlier, every time I talk to you, I learn something, and I learned quite a lot. Like I was able to get a lot of gems from this interview. I think this is another classic part 2. You know what I'm saying? This is a great sequel. You know what I'm saying? It makes me feel good when these types of interviews happen and these types of conversations happen. When somebody can watch this and if somebody can watch this and learn something, my job is done. That's my big thing is that so if somebody can watch this interview and learn something, whether it's something that you said, something that I said, or something that we were just both agreeing upon or came to the conclusion of, that's my job is done, man. So ARP, I want to thank you so much for your time, man. This was everything I hoped it'd be. I'm so glad that we were able to finally get this in. Guys, I'm gonna put all his socials. I think it's is it underscore it's ARP?
Nah, just straight it's ARP, ITSARP on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow me, you know what I'm saying? Tune in. subscribe to the Rare Breed Entertainment YouTube channel.
Put that in the
I'll
link.
be consistently dropping content on there for the Sorry It's True podcast. I want to get to a point where I make enough time where I'm dropping daily content. I started off like that. I think right now I'm kind of in that range of 4 to 5 days per week of content. So I'm trying to get in a flow and a schedule where I can do, almost 7 days a week of content for people. So yeah, follow me, man, and salute to you, Flight. I appreciate you as well. Being able to build with you, being able to interview with you, chop with you, it shows your maturity, it shows your growth, it shows your abilities as well, just to be able to sit back and have grown man conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually revel in moments like that. I could have did this with you off camera.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We could have did this off camera. And I really
100%.
think that this is the first. I've been in the culture for over 10 years, 11, 12 years maybe, and 9 years as a league owner and a platform owner. I can't tell you how many interviews I've done. This might be the first interview I've ever done with somebody that I met from the battle rap culture, and we didn't even talk about battle rap.
That was the goal for this, because I feel like there's so much there's so much behind that. There's so much other things that are behind that. Like I said, it started from when I watched your blogs and you had the backdrops with the movies and the albums in the background and the posters, and I was just like, man, there's something a little bit more to ARP, and not just the personal side, but just how you think, how you move, and the fact that you were able to give us some insight on that is amazing, and it's definitely what I wanted to do for this. So ladies and gentlemen, please, if you haven't, follow this man ARP and the Brick by Brick movement. You know what I'm saying? They are consistently working. Shout out to Wing, shout out to Wing, shout out to Lawrence, shout out to Shata, shout out to everybody along with your cohorts. Amazing people. You know what I'm saying? I know you guys are definitely got more events down the pipeline. You know what I'm saying? But that's definitely
October, November, by the way. But we won't get into that. We
ain't gonna get into that. That'll be a different time. You might holler at Knowledge for that one. You might holler at Knowledge for that.
You might have switched my whole shit up. I might prefer non-battle rap interviews going forward. So I don't even talk about these upcoming events now.
I appreciate you, brother, man. ARP, thank you for taking the time out. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate y'all. Again, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram _flight96, and then on Twitter flight 96 _. So I appreciate y'all. ARP, thank you very much, man. Till next time, my brother.
My God, I'm gonna text away. Part 3 on the way.